everybody, welcome back to the Time Pass podcast. This is your host, Ashika. Thank you so much for joining me today, you guys. If you haven't done so already, please like me on Facebook at Time Pass Podcast, follow me on Instagram at TimePass_podcast, and check out the YouTube channel where you can watch all the episodes of the Time Pass podcast. If you are an auditory listener, wherever you are tuning into podcasts, please make sure that you are liked, followed, or subscribed on your listening platform of choice. Also, don't forget that you can now find Time Pass Radio on Ruckus Avenue Radio, Sundays at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right, you guys. I have a guest here today.
Who?
You ho!
Oh, hi.
The bestie is back. Hi, Fabian.
Hi, Ashwinda.
Hi. Inside joke. Anyway.
Carry on.
Carry on. So, I invited you here today because I thought we could just talk about this stuff. You guys, you know how, like, if you're pregnant or if you're getting married or you're engaged or something, people just start giving you, like, unsolicited advice.
Yes.
And you're like, thanks. So, when you're single, I have found that people give me unsolicited reasons as to why I'm still single. Y'all, it's not like I don't know that I'm single. And I have been single for like 7 years.
Yeah.
7 years now. So I am very aware of the fact that I'm single. I don't need people to remind me of the fact that I'm single. I'm aware. But the audacity of people.
Well, honey, you say you have no boyfriend. You want a short or long nail?
You guys, we're not, like, that's an Angela Johnson skit.
Yes.
So watch it. It's hilarious. But yeah. So I want to talk about these comments, these unsolicited reasons that people have given me for being single. But first, what's your reason as to why I'm single?
I think it's hard because it's like a combination of things, but I feel like you give too much of yourself.
That's what you said in the Bestie Tell-All episode.
Yeah, and it just keeps on, coming back. Just because I still feel like if you give a lot to people, they take that for granted, But
I'm just like a genuine person.
No, I know. But you know how some people get trapped in like relationships that are not good for them and how they like to be treated bad and it's like their cycle.
Yes.
Well, when you're giving something to somebody and they're not used to that, they're like, oh, I'm not used to this. This is weird. This is a red flag or something. They might take it the total opposite of what you're...
But that's their trauma.
I know.
And their shit that they need to work through.
Yes. But that's what I'm saying is you are so giving that people don't necessarily get that in their traditional or regular relationship.
Do you think that some people think that like, oh, she's acting like this now, but just wait, it's gonna come.
Yes.
The switch will flip.
I feel like...
Because I feel like that sometimes when a guy's too nice or something, I'm like...
Like trying to impress you almost?
I know, I'm like, I'm suspicious.
Yes.
I'm suspicious.
So
I don't
it's
trust
a red
it.
flag, no? An orange red flag?
It shouldn't be a red flag. It's an actual green flag. I should be the one that should see the other person's action as a red flag. Because that's what I'm saying. Yeah, because I'm coming from a place of like genuineness and trying to be vulnerable and like foster connections.
But that's you, and that's what they don't know.
Yeah. And if they see that as threatening or scary, then that means that they're not, like, they haven't worked through their trauma or
they're not
grown
comfortable in those kinds of situations because maybe their previous relationship started like that, like where the girl was so attentive and blah, blah, and then just shit goes downhill. And they think that that's what's going to happen with you, but it doesn't. It just keeps on getting better.
You don't know. I could be crazy.
Yeah, but listen.
I could flip the switch.
You could, but you don't.
You don't know.
Oh, I know.
I don't. I mean, I feel like I'm very even keel.
Yeah.
Also because I have a really bad temper when I have one.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to do everything I can to not let it get to that place because I get super angry and I say things I don't mean when I get there. So I really try not to let my emotions get me to that place, and most of the time I'll remove myself from a situation versus trying to like argue back and forth, because I'm not about that life, y'all.
No,
like I like drama, but drama in a different way.
In somebody else's life.
Well, like I can be dramatic about things, you know, but I don't like drama like that. Like if you're gonna sit there and argue with me, I have better things to do with my time.
See, I've never seen that side of you, because you've always been like in control since you've known me.
Yeah.
The thing that you've done when you've removed yourself from situations in the, you know, present, or in the past, you're just like, you know what, I don't want to deal with this. Can we take a little break and then talk about it later?
Yep.
Approach me.
Yep.
That's the only thing, like, that's as far as I've seen you go.
Because it's not pretty. It's really not pretty. I do have a really bad temper. You can ask my family. You can ask my family. I do have a bad temper, and me, and also like Libras, like my words can cut when I want them to. So I try not to do that, because I know it's coming from a place of anger and not how I genuinely feel.
Yeah.
So I control that a lot. But I mean, people may think that I'm going to turn crazy and flip a switch, but...
Well, because you have a personality that's very like straightforward and very direct. So people are like, oh, if she's like this right now, like she could, you know, tear a bitch apart. But it never gets to that. I feel like I've seen you be very direct, and you're like, this is not working for me, or blah, blah, blah. Just very direct. Yeah. Which I can see how people can be like, if this is like normal for her, this is very strong for me. You know? And
that's true. That's true.
So I shan't piss you off, huh?
No.
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 So now I'm curious to see what other people say.
Okay, so we can unpackage this. Okay, so this first one, I have heard you say this too.
Oh.
But, so this is funny. So my hairdresser, she is like invested in my dating life, and she was like, let me introduce you to somebody, blah, blah. So she set me up with someone. She sent me his picture. He was attractive. I was like, cool. So then she gave him my phone number, and we talked on the phone once, and it was not a vibe, right? It was not a vibe, and then he kept like texting me, and you're right, I am very direct, because I have had men lead me on. I have had men just waste my time. And so I am very conscious. I know how, when somebody does that to me, I know how crushed I am, and I know how it makes me feel. So I never want to do that to somebody. I never want to lead them on, because I've been there. It hurts. It's not fun. So I literally told him like, hey, this isn't working out. Like, I don't think this is going to go anywhere, blah, blah, blah. Well, my mom went to her to go get something done or whatever. And, she was talking to my mom, and she was like, oh, is Ashika still single? She doesn't have a boyfriend? Like, is she dating anyone? And my mom was like, no, she's still single. Why do you have somebody else? And I'm like, listen, Mom.
No. We learned our lesson.
Calm yourself down. Calm down. And she goes, Ashika's too picky.
Oh.
And I'm like, you have said this about me too, though. And I have heard other people tell me I'm too picky.
I think you're picky.
I have had people tell me that well, she said too picky, but you have said picky. But like, I don't think I'm too picky.
Not anymore. Your change has definitely evolved.
My taste, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, my taste has evolved.
What did I say?
My change.
Your taste has changed and evolved.
Yes. Yes, it has.
Yeah. Because now, some of the men that you find attractive, I'm like, this would never be your type. This is usually my type.
I know. But I mean, so we can talk about this. So in the past, I think I was very hung up on, I'm going to marry brown. I want to find somebody in my own culture. I want to do this. And I was so hung up on that. And I was kind of pigeonholing myself and only like dating those men. And then we met someone. We met someone.
We did.
We met them together. We met someone who opened my eyes to a real connection and the fact that I was pigeonholing myself. I think, honestly, he literally asked me about it, and he just asked me about it earlier last week too. He was like, are you still only like interested in brown men? And I was like, no. And he's like, oh, really? And I was like, you opened my eyes to the fact that I can have a genuine, like, real connection with someone.
Is that the only orifice he opened?
Anyway, so, I mean, this was last year.
Yeah.
But he really opened my eyes to it. And from that moment, I just realized that, like, I was too focused on finding somebody that ticked off all these other boxes. But the boxes that matter is, for me, in the long run, is the connection.
Yes.
The connection, the respect, how you treat me. Like, that's all that shouldn't matter. It doesn't matter where you're from, what you look like, or all that stuff. It's all about the connection.
Because if it were about just checking the boxes, you could actually get an arranged marriage from India. Like, it could happen.
Honey, I don't want.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Is like, if you wanted that, that's what you would.
That's what arranged marriages are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Their bio data. Yeah. No. So I have heard that one a lot. But she is Indian, and this was an Indian man that she set me up with, and she said I was too picky. Well, the reasons that I wasn't attracted to him, it wasn't a vibe. Like, there wasn't a connection. He wasn't very fluent in English, which I speak, Hindi, so there isn't really a language barrier. But there's a cultural barrier because I was raised here. So the things that I want to joke about and talk about, like,
he's not gonna get.
They don't relate. So that it didn't vibe, and it was really obvious with me right away. So I think it's funny because you say I'm too picky, that I was too picky when I was mainly focused on brown men. She thinks I'm too picky even when it comes to brown men, and I'm like, what are we gonna talk about? What are we going to talk about in the long run? Like, how long are you going to ask me how's work?
Yeah. Yeah. It can only go so far.
That's an inside joke. I have a friend who was talking to this guy forever, and she was so irritated because every day he would text her, how's work? How's work? To start the conversation. And she was like, if he asked me that one more time, I'm going to scream. Anyway, okay, this next one really hurt my feelings.
Why? What is it?
Because it's a friend of mine, a man friend, and he literally said, I think you're single because I don't think you want a relationship.
I don't think that's true.
Of course it's not true. Of course it's not true. It hurt my feelings.
Yeah?
Like, why would you say that? Why would you say that?
Yeah, especially when you don't talk about not wanting a relationship.
I have a whole podcast about relationships. And I don't know if he thought, because at one point we were kind of like romantically interested in each other. And I don't know, the thing about me is I'm very like balanced. You give me this amount of effort, I'm going to give you this amount of effort, especially in the beginning. I'm all about balancing that. Once I fall for someone or start falling for someone, that's when I start doing too much. Like you say, that's when I start going above and beyond because I just want to make sure, I always worry about like what's going on with that person. And if they have become quiet, I think something's going on. And let me just let them know I'm here. Let me just know, like, let them know, just check on them, So I don't know if, and he's a brown man, he's Indian, and I don't know if like the expectation is that I'm gonna like be calling all the time and like, be like that clingy girl that like does all that, like calls and checks and does all, and that's totally not me. I have a very independent life. I'm very busy. And I'm all for feminism and everything, but I am more into traditional gender roles when it comes to my love life. So I am not going to pursue you. That's not going to happen. If you want me, you're going to have to pursue me. And when you do, I will match your effort. But that's it. And so I don't know if because he never got that vibe for me of like pursuing him.
Oh.
That he thought that meant that like
you didn't want a relationship.
That I didn't want a relationship.
Yeah, that's like reading too much into it though. You know?
I can't think of any other reason why he would say that I wouldn't want a relationship.
You should have been like, maybe just with you.
Oh ho. No. I think that's weird, no? I don't think I give off that vibe.
No, I don't think you do.
All I talk about is love and relationship.
Yeah.
I'm all, Nani, it's me. Okay, this one was funny. So this is from a friend who's known me for a long time, and she said that she felt like, she did preface this by saying she feels that this is different for me now. Mm-hmm. But she said in the beginning when I first got single, because she's known me since before I got married, and then through the marriage and then after. She said in the beginning, I was only going for like looks. Mm. That's what she said. She said, you like your bodies and you have a look that you like. And she's like, I feel like in the beginning, that's all. Like if you found them attractive, you would go for them and they would have nothing else going on in their lives. Like no substance, no nothing, but you didn't care. And she's like, and I feel like you wasted a lot of your time doing that. And then she did say, she said, I don't think you do this anymore. She said the last few people that you have talked to and people that you've entertained over the last couple years have been a lot, you know, have more substance to them and more are up to your standards. Mm-hmm. And this is how she put it. She said, you have standards. And what you did was you would date somebody that didn't meet your standards just because they looked good to you.
Oh.
So,
so that trumped everything else.
I mean, I think when I first, you know, was like free again, like
whatever.
I dated some really beautiful men. I have.
Oh, I know.
And I shouldn't have some of them. Some of them were a little sketch.
Well,
some of them were a little sketch. But I think I probably wasted time.
But it was also learning experience. It's not like you were just wasting time.
No, I think it got me to where I am now. Mm-hmm. It helped me evolve, right? Everything's a lesson. So you learn. I think you need to go through those phases when you're like, ooh, that person's attractive. Like, let me see what that's about. You have to, everything that's a failure is something to learn from. So for me, it's just like a lesson and like, yeah, they may be attractive. What else?
What else can you bring to the table?
What else can you bring to the table? Exactly. Yeah.
What's the next one?
The next one also really hurt my feelings because you were with me. And I think I told you. Were you there or were you gone already? I think you had left. We were out, y'all. We went out. Was it on my birthday? It was.
I don't know.
Yes, it was on my birthday. So we went out for my birthday and we were with friends. Remember we had like people just popping in.
I was still there.
You were still there.
Yeah.
Yes. We had people popping in and popping out. And so we ended up at one of my favorite bars here in Sacramento, Lowbrow. I don't know why. I've just always been attached to that place. It's one of my favorite watering holes. It's like home. And so we had ended the night there. And we walked in. And a friend of mine who was with us, there was like this sketchy guy who came up to buy drinks. And he was trying to throw me under the bus by making it seem like I was available. So he was like, oh, like, oh yeah, shit, my friend here. And I was like, looking at him like, don't you do this. Don't you dare do this. Don't do this. And, but the guy didn't take the bait. I think he was still kind of sober or whatever. And I wasn't, I'm very good at like giving off like not interested vibes. Like if I'm not interested, I'm not giving out those vibes. And so I was just like, hella dry. Nothing happened. Well, then we stayed there. He stayed there. He kept drinking. And then he came back up to the bar, and I was at the bar. And so I'm at the bar. He's on my right next to me. And then there's these two young girls who are sitting at the bar, at two bar stools. And he's kind of wedged himself in between the like appropriate distance that I put between myself and the two girls. So it's a tight space. Okay? So he's wedged himself in. And now he's drunk and he's like hey, trying to make conversation with me. And I'm just like, I'm also a polite person. So I don't obviously, like, I don't just flat out like, boo, you know, like I'm polite. I never want to like hurt someone's ego. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm being dry still, giving the I'm not interested vibe. But he's asking me questions and I'm answering. I'm at the bar, like, what am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? So the two girls, they start kind of scooting over more and more, trying to like close the gap. Trying to close the gap. And finally he steps back. And what ends up happening is the bartender, who's a friend of mine, ends up telling him he had to go, that he wasn't going to get served anymore. So dude left. And so I turn to the two girls and we're talking, and this other girl walks up to the other side, like behind us, because she wants to get served. So the two girls and I are talking, and I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. And they're like, girl, we saw, and like, you don't need to be bothered like that. And I'm like, thank you, I really appreciate it. I was like, I feel like I can handle myself, but I really appreciate like you getting him away. And they're like, yeah, da 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 da. And they're like, well, and they're like, I hope it's okay that we told him that like you're taken, that you have like a boyfriend or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, that's fine, you can tell him that. And I was like, but I don't. I've been single for 7 years. This bitch that was standing behind us is like, because the two girls were like, I was like, I've been single for 7 years. And the girl's like, really? That's hard to believe. And this bitch goes, maybe you're just too pretty. And I'm like, excuse me?
Rude.
Excuse me? I'm like, thanks? That was the worst. It was literally
the worst, best compliment.
It was the worst. It was like, wait a second. Wait a second. Wait a second. I came back to you and I was like, you won't believe what that girl just said to me. And you're like, well, what happened? And I was like, she said that she thinks that I'm single because I'm too pretty. And I'm like, that's not my fault.
A curse and a blessing.
It is not my fault.
A curse and a blessing.
It is not my fault.
Maybe you shouldn't get all done up to go out.
I cannot. I am me. I am who I am. And I like to look my best.
Pretty? Too pretty?
So it was funny. So the guy who had told me that he thinks that maybe I don't really want a relationship. When we were having this conversation, I told him, I said, guess what?
Guess what?
I'm still mad about it, right? And I'm like, guess what? And he goes, what? And I was like, this girl, I was like, it's the weirdest thing. And this is what she said to me. So I tell him the story, right? Like I just did right now. And he goes, I can see that. And I'm like, what?
Thanks.
I'm like, what? And he's like, well, he's like, it's just that like, you can come off as intimidating. And I'm like, I am the least intimidating person out there. Always smiling, hella friendly. I will even talk to somebody who's annoying me. Like I don't have RBF, I don't feel. Like I'm so approachable.
Yeah. Your ex-friend had RBF.
I know, your ex-friend.
Your ex-friend.
But he was like, yeah, you're intimidating. Like that can be intimidating. So I guess this is a 2.0 from him. But he says he said that I'm probably also single because a lot of men are intimidated to approach me. Also, if they get to know me because of the different things I have going on in my life, like having all my shit together. And he's like, you have your own house, you have a job, like you take care of your daughter, like all this stuff. He's like, it can be intimidating for a man. And I'm like, that ain't my man then.
That's not mine.
It's true though. If you're intimidated by what I'm doing, that means that you think that you're less. And if you're less, go find less.
Insecurity.
Exactly.
So much insecurity.
Exactly.
Because if it were me, I'd be like, that's my pretty woman. Like, look, y'all.
But not even that, but it's like, yeah, that's my pretty woman, but it's like it's
confident and
it's more than that, yeah. And so it's like, if you are intimidated by what I have going on in my life and or how I look, that's on you. Because
that should be more security on their, like on their end.
Yes, exactly. And that's not the first person that said it. Somebody else said that to me, remember? And I told you, and I was like, it's not my fault.
Yeah.
And then it's been in my head for so long, since October, that I even told my mom, I was like, somebody said this to me, and it's not my fault. It's your fault.
You made me this.
I'm like, I didn't control. Anyway, I don't know. I don't want to sound full of myself or anything, but this is what somebody said to me, and so now it's in the forefront of my mind. I saved the best for last. I asked a good friend of mine, and I said, why do you think I'm still single? And she said, because you're a queen, and queens don't settle. I like. And I think there's a lot of validity to that.
What do you mean queens don't settle?
I think that if I want to, it's like what you were saying about like the arranged marriage. I'm not going to settle. Like, I am definitely somebody who is direct, like you say, and I'm looking for that genuine connection. I'm putting energy into someone when I think that we can develop that genuine connection. And if that genuine connection's not there, I'm not going to stay with them because of how they look or what they can offer me. I'm going to move on.
But I feel like that's just what you should be doing, regardless if you're a queen or not.
But a lot of people don't.
No,
A lot of people settle.
Yeah.
Because they get lonely and they settle. Yeah. They settle. How many people do we know that are in relationships where they don't get what they need?
But they're still there.
Right? A lot. There's a lot of people.
Almost all of them.
I know. And I was in that kind of a marriage. And that was one of the main reasons why I left. Because I didn't have that love and that connection. And so for me, it's like, if that ain't there, that love and connection's not there, that's not for me.
Yeah.
It's not for me. So I wish more people would do that because everybody would be a lot happier. And that's probably why we have so many divorces and all kinds of things. But yeah, I just think it's true. Like, I don't want to settle.
But there is a fine line between settling and compromising too.
What do you mean? Elaborate.
Because sometimes you like the person a lot, you like their personality, everything. It's just differences that are here and there, and people see them as like, oh, I'm not going to give in to this because that's settling, you know? And they make it a bigger deal than it needs to be.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know how they say, oh, marriages back in the day used to last so long? Well, I'm not saying that women used to settle, but I feel like they used to compromise a little more, or even both ends, we used to compromise a little more than now.
Yeah, but I think back in the day too, there was those gender roles, like provider, homemaker.
Yeah.
And so women didn't have the independence to also stand up for themselves or the way to make money, so they had to stay in those situations.
No, and I agree. I just feel like there was more give and take back then too.
Yeah, I think there was more weight put in the sanctity of marriage.
Yes.
And making it work.
Like through thick and thin, till death do us part.
Okay, vows. Okay, vows.
I can marry y'all. Okay. But I feel like it's a combination, and people take it a little too far with the settling and compromising part.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like Jay Shetty talked about it recently, where he says that people say when they're in these marriages that like, oh, the spark is gone. The spark is gone. And then he explained what the spark is. The spark is that excitement of not knowing that that person likes you, right? So when you're waiting for that text and you're waiting for that call, and when they're connecting with you in the beginning, you have that spark, because what it is it's a fear. And you're waiting. And so then when you get the validation, you're like, yes, and you confuse that for sparks. Well, once two people decide to commit to each other, you don't have that fear anymore, because you know that that person is your person. So then you don't have those like emotions, that fear spike and then die down. Not as much. And so then he says that's what people see as the spark being gone. I thought that was really insightful. It's on his Instagram if you guys want to see. It's a reel on his
Maybe we should do another episode of this, because I feel like it's a good topic.
It is. But I don't know. That's what I have. What do you think about all the reasons people said? Why?
I think they're
unsolicited reasons people told me why I'm still single.
I feel like I know what they mean, but I just like the too picky one. I don't feel like it's all the way there. The one that where you don't want a relationship, definitely not applying here.
Bullshit.
you only go for looks, not substance. I feel like that's been more balanced.
Yes.
You know, with the looks and because like I said before, I've seen some guys that you point out and I'm like, that used to not be your type. Like,
yeah,
that's my lower standards. Like, that would be my type. So I feel like that's not applying all the way. That you're too pretty. I don't think that's a reason to be single.
No, it's not.
No, it's so yeah. I agree. You're pretty, but I don't think you're to the point where like guys are like, I'm not dating her because she's so pretty.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then, not that you're not settling, but it's just not. I guess you haven't settled because they don't bring to the forefront what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that one I feel like it does apply a lot.
Yes, good job, Kessico.
And obviously mine, where you're too giving. You are too giving. But that's you. I'm not saying hold back.
I'm just what saying, do you want me to do?
Honey, nothing.
That's who I am.
Don't change. Like you always say, whoever's gonna like you is gonna like you for you.
Yeah.
The only time you don't take my advice is going out in public without makeup.
Oh yeah.
You kind of do that when you go to the gym, but
when I go to the gym, I do.
I'm just saying, if somebody meets you in like your worst look, like you always say, I don't look it. Then it can only get better, you know. So if they meet you at your worst, like you say. Well, it's only building from there.
I agree. I don't like to go. I always like to put my best foot forward, but I feel like with this last person that I had spent some time getting to know, I was very much no makeup face with him.
Vulnerable, yeah.
And let's not go back.
No, I know, but they never made a comment about like your looks without makeup. So that's what I mean. It's like when somebody sees you, they don't give a about makeup.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I think it also depends on like the person. Like I have to feel comfortable enough to want to be vulnerable around you and to want to.
No, I agree.
And that person brought that out in me. So he got to see that side. Not everybody does.
I don't see it too much and I miss it.
You see it all the time, ho. I'm like, you see it all the time.
Oh, wait. So that's it.
Yep. All right. Okay, guys. What do you think? Do you have reasons why I'm still single? Do you want to weigh in on any of the reasons of these people telling me why I'm still single?
Or why your friends are single and why you see, or why you're single? Why do you think you're single?
Tell us. Let us know. Shoot us a DM. Write us an email at timepasspodcast@gmail.com. All right, you guys, that's all we've got for you today. If you haven't done so already, please like, follow, and subscribe on your listening platform of choice on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, everything. Check me out on Ruckus Avenue Radio. I will have Fabian's social handles on the show notes on the website, timepasspodcast.com. Whatever people tell you about why you're single or unsolicited advice you may be getting because you're pregnant, married,